I've been waiting way too long. Yeah, I've been down here trying to get it. Yeah, I've been waiting way too long.
This video is on solving multi-step equations. We're going to look at 5 different examples that should help you solve any multi-step equation. They're obviously all going to look a little bit different, but the process should be similar and you should find commonalities between all of them. So the first thing I want to do is just identify where my equal sign is. If I'm crossing over the equal sign, I want to make sure I use inverse operations. But before I can do that, I want to make sure that I combine like terms. So 6x and negative 8x are like terms, and when I combine them, because they're on the same side of the equal sign, I get negative 2x. The plus 3 does not have a like term on that side. So this is what I get when I combine like terms. Now I need to isolate my variable. So I need to solve for x, so now this is a 2-step equation. I'm going to get rid of my constant by subtracting 3 on both sides. 3 minus 3 is 0. I now have negative 2x equals 10, because 13 minus 3 is 10. I still need to isolate my variable, so I'm going to divide by the coefficient, because negative 2x means negative 2 times x. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1, so that is x equals negative 5. So let's talk about the steps that I sort of followed here. The first step was to combine like terms, and we are doing that on the same side of the equal sign. So when you're looking at one expression, meaning one side of the equal sign, see if there's anything you can combine. Then I'm going to isolate the variable, and that is where we get into our 2-step problem. If there are parentheses in the equation, in either expression, you would need to distribute first. We'll see that in another example. Here we have 9 equals 6 minus the quantity x plus 2. Now what I need you to understand here is that I am subtracting this whole expression, x plus 2. And another way that I can think about that is that there is a negative 1 here. So it doesn't look like there's a coefficient, but it's actually a 1. So like I mentioned, I need to distribute that first. So 9 equals 6. Negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Now I need to combine like terms. My like terms are 6 and negative 2, which is 4. So this is now 4 minus x equals 9. Now I need to isolate my variable. This is where it becomes a 2-step problem. I need to isolate the x, so I need to subtract the constant first. 4 minus 4 is 0, so I'm left with negative x. If you forget that minus sign, you're going to be in big trouble. 9 minus 4 is 5. So now I have 5 equals negative x. I still need only x by itself. I don't want negative x. Remember, this is a negative 1 coefficient. So I'm going to divide by negative 1. So now x equals negative 5. Here's a bit of a longer problem. 3 minus 5b plus 2b equals negative 2 minus 2 times the quantity 1 minus b. So I'm going to distribute first. There is nothing to distribute on the left side, so I'm going to just go ahead and leave it like it is. I'm going to distribute this negative 2 to the terms inside the parentheses. This negative 2 here does not get distributed because it's not right in front of the parentheses. So now negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative b is positive 2b. So that was my distribute. Now I'm going to combine. Negative 5b goes with positive 2b. The 3 does not have a like term. Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3b. There's also some things to combine here. Negative 2 and negative 2 is negative 4. The 2b does not have a like term. Now I need to isolate my variable. Well, I have a variable on both sides, so I need to get them on the same side. So I'm going to choose to add 3b to both sides. You could also have subtracted 2b. You would get the same answer. Negative 3b plus 3b is 0, so I'm left with 3 equals negative 4 plus 5b. Now I need to get b by itself still, so I'm going to add the constant, add 4 to both sides. 7 equals 5b, divide by 5, divide by 5, b equals 7 over 5, or 1 2/5. But again, I would encourage you to leave it as an improper fraction, 7 over 5. Example D, 4 parentheses 3x minus 8 equals 12x plus 2. So I'm going to distribute. 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times negative 8 is negative 32. I do not have anything to distribute here, so I'll leave that alone. Now I'm going to combine like terms. Well, it turns out those are not like terms and these are not like terms, so I can actually skip that step. So now I need to isolate, which means I need to get the variable on the same side. So I'm going to subtract this 12x to cancel that and do the same here. Well, this is interesting. Now I have 12x minus 12x over here also, which is actually 0. So that means all I'm left with is negative 32, and all I'm left with over here is 2. Now that's interesting. Negative 32 does not equal 2. If you end up with an answer like this, that means there is no solution. So what happened was our equation actually doesn't match up. It's not true. Our x's were both canceled, and what we were left with is not a true statement, so therefore there is no solution. Our last example here, negative 1/2 parentheses 4x plus 6 equals 3x minus 3. So again, I'm going to distribute. Negative 1/2 times 4x is negative 2x. Negative 1/2 times positive 6 is negative 3 equals 3x minus 3. Now I need to combine, okay? Actually, I don't, because these don't combine on the same side. So I need to isolate. So I need to get the variable on the same side. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So negative 3 equals 5x minus 3. I need to get x by itself, so I'm going to move the constant by adding 3. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Equals, negative 3 plus 3 is 0 also, but I still have a 5x here. Now, the reason that I put this 0 here is because it's the only thing I have. If I would have had another term here, then I would have just brought that term down, but I don't. So that's why I need to make sure I write the 0. So now 0 equals 5x, I need to divide by 5. So x equals 0. That is a perfectly fine answer. X can equal 0. That does not mean there is no solution. There is a difference between x equals 0 and no solution. So please pay attention to the difference in that, and do not be alarmed if your answer is 0. Remember, you can plug in a 0 and see if this lines up. So 4 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 6 is 6. Negative 1/2 of 6 is negative 3. Okay, so this becomes negative 3. So let's do it over here. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 3 is negative 3, so it does line up. So our answer is correct.
I've been waiting way too long. Yeah.